You know, I was just thinking to myself, I was walking over to visit my brother. He didn't really want anyone visiting him right now, so my dad was walking home, and so I turned around, I guess, too. But I was thinking, I know people pretty well. Like, I'm really good at reading people. I'm really good at, not maybe reading people, but understanding people. Understanding motivation, understanding people's feelings, and empathizing, connecting. I'm really good at spending a little bit of time and getting a good understanding of a person's intentions and stuff. It's not an attempt at me bragging. It's been a survival tactic for me throughout life, when you constantly go through people in your life, just like a revolving door at a popular mall, it ends up becoming an instinct. Not even something you're trying to do, but something that you learn you have to do because you need to be able to learn how to quickly identify a threat or an asset in any given scenario. And I think that as much as that has been a benefit for me, it might be a ginormous curse, because I feel like I'm reading situations and people, and my life experience tells me that I'm not wrong, and my logic, even my understanding of how things are and how things work and what people think, understanding of things like that work against me too, because they tell me that when I see someone showing me disdain, dislike, discomfort, not wanting to be around me, annoyance, they tell me that when I see that sort of reaction in people, that all of my life skills that I've gained, or survival skills that I've gained, go into play, and they try to figure out why a person is that way. And logically, most of the time, I can understand why people feel the way they do. And so my mind is convinced that it's right. It's not just a psychological problem. It's not just me feeling like everybody hates me or people don't want to be around me. Yeah, I know not everybody hates me and stuff, but it's not just me feeling that way. It in my mind, it's being convinced as being reality because it uses all the problem solving skills I've learned, all of my survival tactics, all of my logic, every bit of my intelligence. It uses it each time when I gauge a scenario, a situation, a person, a thing, And it's so rational. And then everybody else tells me that it's not, that I'm just depressed. And it's very hard because I feel like that if it was just depression and just negative thinking, that it would be easier for me. Instead, it just feels so real, so legitimate, so understandable. Like, I understand why they don't like me, or why someone avoids me, or why when I try to say hi or speak to some people, sometimes I get a giant sigh or a roll of the eyes, or sometimes just ignored. And when I make statements or complaints like that, I'm not maximizing or dramatizing everybody in the world. Sometimes I slip up and I do that, but I also know what dramatization is. I know what maximization, justification, excuse making, I know all of these terms because I grew up in the system. I grew up in the system in regards to therapy. I grew up in the psychological and therapy system. I didn't grow up so much in the justice system. Man, I feel like nobody fucking cares. I mean, I put myself out there in ways that I feel comfortable, and constantly end up regretting the decision But I even end up knowing that it's not a good idea before I ever do it. But I can't help it because I really just want someone to hear me. Like, really hear me. Not see what I'm saying and read it. Or hear the words coming out of my mouth because, they're out loud. I want someone to really hear me and understand me. I want someone to tell me in life, someone important, a couple people, I want them to be like, I'm sorry, and make me believe it. I want them to spend the time to convince me. I spend so much time trying to convince people of why I deserve their friendship, or why trying to win people over in some way or another, be it my brother's approval on pretty much anything, or just things in general, dressing nice even. It's not for myself, it's because I want to impress people. Trying to talk with intelligence, it's not because I want to sound smart, it's because I want to, yeah, it is. But it's because I want to impress. Everything I do, I'm so tired of that, because my whole life seems to revolve around trying to make somebody happy. Even my computer setups, my computer builds, every single decision I make in regards to the entire room is always about what's gonna look good to somebody else, what will give me some praise. I am pathetically desperate for affection and encouragement and praise. I really want good things to be said about me, and I can't outright be like, hey, tell me something nice, because that's just weird. But that's how I feel better about myself, when I do stuff like that and people notice it. I do a lot to try and get people to notice, and the people that I want to notice are never the ones that seem to notice. Or they notice and they just don't really care the way, in my mind, I imagined they would. Right now I'm using this week's vlog as a therapy session, I guess. Someone told me I should write. I've moved on. I've realized that Facebook, looking for help and advice from family, just ends up making family and friends look at you differently. Whether they mean to or not, it's not the point. It's not intentional for most, I'm sure. But it ends up making them look at you differently and feel about you differently, just naturally. And many of my family and friends have offered advice throughout my life, and on my posts and my cries for help and yada yada. And but after a while, because I don't figure it out right away, even though the answer's right in front of me, I seem to fail to actually implement the solution. I don't know why. This is a problem I deal with in life a lot. I know that 1 + 1 = 2. It's just, I struggle with figuring out how 1 + 1 = 2. Why? What to do? How to get there? How to get to that answer? People provide the answers, but they don't provide the steps that you need to do. And I know that the world isn't like that, I know that nobody usually gets all the answers and all the steps provided for them. They all have to figure it out. I struggle with figuring that stuff out, man. I'm good at figuring out solutions. I'm not good at figuring out the steps. And that's my problem. I know what needs to get done. I know what needs to get done. I know what ultimately you have to choose to do to get certain things accomplished, yada yada. It's just, I don't know how to get to that point. I don't know how to psychologically, mentally, or intellectually bring myself to that point. And I think that a big part of that problem is confidence, self-confidence, and I just don't have any at all. And I don't know how to bring that up. I mean, it's not a pleasant feeling to go every day just feeling empty, you know, feeling devoid of purpose, of dreams, of hopes, you know. It's not a fun thing to wake up every day and just feel so alone. It's really hard and very psychologically exhausting for me because I'm only 36. I know it's not that old. How long are you going to say that a certain age isn't that old, though, until it finally is? And then you're like, oh. But I'm really tired. I have a hard time motivating myself anymore to do anything just because I'm worn out. Nobody thinks I'm trying, but I have been trying so hard, and that's really exhausting to be putting in so much effort in your head and it be nothing to somebody else, nothing to everybody else. Nah, that's probably not true, but just nothing to the people that I wish saw the effort. I don't know what the point of my video is other than to vent, hope that maybe someone will reach out and be like, hey, I'll be the guy you need or the girl you need. I'll be the friend you need. You know, I'll be the dude that'll push you when you start questioning yourself. I'll be the friend who'll come over and be like, hey, we're doing this today because it's good for you. And it's better for me to come over and make you do it because it'll help you believe in yourself more. And I know that's nobody's responsibility, but that's what I could use the most in life. I need a friend who will come over and just shove me into doing certain things because I don't have the faith in myself to doing them. I need a friend who will just show up at my house and be like, hey, I got a plan, come with me. And then outside of me having to work, I go with them just because they insist, and my insecurities will automatically make me give in to a person that I see as more dominant than me, and I think that I need a more dominant friend in my life. I need someone that'll not allow me to give up on myself. And I want someone like that, and I know that I can't expect that of anybody. And that's part of why I feel so alone and I feel so lost and overwhelmed and tired. It's because I know I can't expect that sort of stuff from people, but it's what I need, and I know it. It's why boot camp was good for me. It's why when I was asked, do you want to go to boot camp or do you want to go to prison, I said, I'll go to boot camp. Not because I didn't want to go to prison, but because I knew that nobody expected me to beat boot camp. But I also knew that if I was already there, I would just keep going because I no longer had the choice, but I knew it would be good for me. And it ended up being one of the greatest things that ever happened in my life. It changed me dramatically. It stopped my stealing. I lost weight. I got healthy. I mean, I ended up getting unhealthy again, but the primary thing I learned was just to control myself a little bit more in regards to stealing. I used to be really, 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 really bad at stealing, and they were contemplating and attempting to try and find a way to diagnose me of kleptomania because I would steal anything and everything. And if I didn't, for some reason, my belly feels like it's getting stretched tight, my intestines around my belly button whenever I cough. But whenever I didn't steal something that crossed my mind, it would bother me and sit on my mind insistently until I went all the way back across town, or however the distance was at the time, There were times where it was all the way across the city. I'd have to take multiple buses and walk a certain distance just to steal what it is that had already crossed my mind, because I'd already seen it earlier that day or earlier that week. Because if I didn't, it would bother me. It would obsess in my mind. And boot camp changed that. I mean, I don't think boot camp was the ultimate cataclysm changing it, because by the end of my 6.5 months, see, you're only supposed to be there for 6 months. I was actually there for 8 because of a glitch in time. Not time itself, but I mean a glitch in their paperwork in the system, and I ended up getting kicked out of boot camp the day before my graduation. There's a part of me that is bitter about that, but most of me isn't. It's a long story. I got kicked out because I supposedly didn't do much, or didn't do enough to graduate, but didn't do enough to get kicked out. I lost over 100 and something pounds. I think it was 120 pounds in 6 months, just off of exercise there. I was always busting my ass, and it was really hard for me. I had to do push-ups with 40-pound backpacks of pea gravel on. You're not supposed to, but the sergeant really didn't like me for some fucking reason. But he used to make me do all of my exercises, not sit-ups though, with that stupid backpack on, and I didn't run either. I'll tell you what, when I took that backpack off and started to go for my run, I felt like I was 1,000,000 pounds lighter, man. Felt like I could fly for our platoon runs. But anyways, I've rambled for almost 20 minutes. Maybe I should make this just its own video this week, you know? That might be a good idea. And then we'll see if I can come up with other videos too, or other clips. The point is, and maybe I can make the title of the video if it fits right, I just feel overwhelmed. I feel lost. And I just have no confidence. And all of those combined make it hard for me to have a dream anymore. Like, I don't have any dreams anymore. I just want to get that truck working and disappear. I know it's unrealistic because I don't make enough money at Subway. I don't even get enough hours, and I can't walk to a better job. I mean, I probably could if I was about 10 years younger and not having so much fucking foot and back pain and my hernia bothering me. Everyone says, just walk. I wish that if I put a number on it, like a 1 to 10, it would automatically make somebody else immediately understand. But nobody fucking understands. The people only seem to understand pain when they're dealing with it. When someone else is in pain, it's like they just dismiss it. They think there's no way that person is feeling pain or something on the same level of what they believe they've experienced. They can't. Seems like most people can't put themselves in the same shoes when somebody else is in their shoes. They just forget, and so you're just judged. And I mean, I had my surgery and was in just immense amounts of pain, and the only comment I got from somebody in my family was how I'm just a wuss who can't deal with pain, and that's what the doctors say. And that's not at all what they said. He only knows what I told him, and they said that I was dealing with an extraordinary amount of pain, and so they gave me some stronger pain medications. That's not my fault. It's not a choice. I'm not like, oh, I'm going to be in more pain today. Shit hurts my feelings, man, because I just feel like I'm just brushed off. Like, anything I feel is just... it's nothing. I don't know, man. I want to feel happiness, man. I want to feel good. I want to feel free. And I can't stand this feeling of self-hatred that I live with every day. It is so crippling. Only a person who's felt self-hatred for themselves can tell you how much pain it causes to fall asleep and then to wake up every day just hating yourself and feeling like that it's earned and that nobody else is gonna forgive you for things they don't even know. Everyone says, oh, yada yada yada, you know. Everyone says, I don't hate you, we're cool, we're good. But in my head, I know things they don't know, and I know things about myself that make people hate people, and I hate myself for them, and I try to work with them, and I've talked to the psych about it, and it never goes away, and I can't just let it go in my head. I can't just be like, oh, I can accept something that I can't. How can I accept something about myself that I would not be willing to accept in another human being, and how can I ask other people to do that? I mean, I'm bothered by some of the worst things people get bothered by or have to deal with in their personal selves. The things that make people hate you. And nobody knows it, but they all tell me, I don't hate you. Everyone says that it's actions that speak. But then I was raised to believe that thoughts are just as accountable as your actions. And I don't know what to do, dude. I guess I'm not really asking for feedback. I'm just trying to have somebody hear me. But I've been sitting outside of this gas station for 23 minutes, and I think maybe I should just